Hey there, I'm Cami Guildner of Cami Guildner Coaching, and I help women raise up their voice, their visibility in their business, and take their business to that next level. And each year I host an annual conference called Extraordinary Women Ignite, and it's all about raising up those women's voices and helping them step into the new year with enthusiasm and power and clarity in their voice and how they're meant to make an impact on the world. 2020 brought in some new changes for me. Of course, it was a year that we had to take our conference virtual. And I'm going to share with you today the top 5 tips that I learned this year in creating an extraordinary virtual event. Number 1, take it to a stage. Don't do it just behind your camera on your desktop. Take a stage, get on a stage, feel the energetic presence of you, and play with someone. Do it bring in a great MC, a dynamic MC. Your local speakers can come join you, have them join you, and then you guys can really play together with the energy of the stage. It's so much better when you can show up physically and energetically on a stage. And hire a great AV team to be filming you at that space. It was a big decision to make that. It definitely had more investment associated with it, but it was perhaps the best decision that I made in planning for that event. Number 2, engage your participants frequently and regularly as you're leading up to the event. And that means reaching out, hosting some events. I hosted several events where people could come together and get to know one another on those Zoom calls. And then I also had some volunteer ambassadors who reached out to especially the new people in my community, inviting them in, getting to know them, so that there was this new community of collaboration already happening before we even came together for the event. And they also got this wonderful box of goodies that they were able to receive and get excited about. They were many of the items that were in the box were items that our speakers had donated to be in the box for the attendees. And so they got to know some of the speakers. There was books, there was journals, there was all these different things. They started to know the speakers before we got going. We had a Facebook group as well in which people could engage. And so it was just a good place for people to be able to come together and get to know one another and be excited. So there was so much excitement being built up leading up to the event. Number 3 is to create great connection at the event. And I really had to think through, when I spoke to my prior attendees, they said that was the one thing they did not want me to lose, was having a way to connect with all the great women in the room. My events are known for connecting great women to great women influencers to great women influencers. And the quality of those relationships that come out of it was really essential. So I needed a platform, a technology platform that enabled me to be able to connect people. And so I chose Zoom. I also had another platform where we had trade shows and all of that sort of thing. But I actually chose for our streaming platform to be Zoom because 1, people knew how to use Zoom. And 2, it was just a great opportunity for them to be able to see each other on the screen, which was incredibly powerful, to be able to communicate with each other on the screen, and then be able to break out into breakout rooms. And I think that was the biggest piece for me, was I needed significant breakout room capability. And so creating that so that people got to know each other and they got to do the work and they got to come together. And there was even opportunities where I was doing Q&As, and I think that was another good way for people to engage and be involved. Number 4 is shifts in your content. And shifts in your content really tie to shifting your content up about every 8 minutes. Ignite is a 2.5-day event. So about every 8 minutes, I was doing some sort of a shift, whether it was a shift in the exercise, a shift in a new speaker, a shift in how we were engaging with each other into a breakout room. There was always, every 8 minutes, I was thinking through that. So it was creating a lot of diversity. There was diversity of what was happening on the screen. Some of our speakers were live off the stage and they were getting onto the stage. Some of our speakers were remote and they were coming on a Zoom. But the important part of it was they were not looking at 2.5 days of talking heads. There was a lot of engagement, and each piece of it built up to the next element of it, all the way through the close of the event. So that was a really important part of that, was to just keep changing up the content. Number 5, one of the most important things that you can do for yourself in leading a virtual event is to take care of yourself. It takes a lot more energy to put together a virtual event than it does a live event, let me tell you. In fact, the details that leads up to that virtual event are it's probably 3 times the amount of effort to put on a virtual event than it is a live event, because there's just so many more details to attend to. So the most important thing you can do is take care of yourself leading up to that. I was diligent in my daily practice of mindfulness, of meditation, of movement, of eating really good foods for my body, taking care of myself, and blocking off my calendar leading up to it. And then during the event, I was really, and just even as I was getting really close, and at a time when I could have said, gosh, I just don't have time for these things, I had to make even more time, because it was so important for me to stay centered and grounded in my content. What was wanting to flow from me through to the people in the room. And I also was able to really turn over all the details to my team. And I think that's a really important part. Let your team do their job. Let the control go. That's one thing that I like to control things. And I had to let the control go and allow my team to do their job. And with that, we were able to create the most amazing conference, because I was fully in tune to my message. I was fully in tune to what I wanted to share with the amazing women in the room. And we got such amazing feedback and good feedback. In fact, my good friend Brian Cramer, who was one of our keynotes, said to me at the end of the conference, he says, I've been going to virtual conferences all year long. And Brian is known by Forbes magazine as the top 3 keynote speakers you need to see. And he said to me at the end of the conference, I've been going to virtual conferences all year long, and none of them had the same amount of energy that Ignite had. So there was a great feedback. And these are the 5 tips that I think that really enabled us to do that. So if you are creating a virtual conference or a virtual event, take the time, make the space to do this. You can create an incredible experience. And the thing is I had people attending from all around the world that really enabled us to open up the audience to a virtual audience that way. It was really beautiful. So have fun with it, and good luck.